Welcome to The Explainer. I am so glad you're joining us today. Look, we're talking about a billion-dollar industry that's built on a whole lot of whispers, slick packaging, and, let's be honest, those late-night internet ads. So today, we're completely cutting through all that noise. We're focusing on a topic that is incredibly common, yet heavily clouded by marketing hype: dietary supplements for erectile dysfunction. Millions of guys face this, which naturally means there's a massive industry out there selling quick fixes. But we're going to look strictly at the facts. We're drawing directly from comprehensive, fact-check data provided by the Mayo Clinic to finally separate the truth from the advertising spin.
So, can natural supplements actually cure ED? It's probably the exact question countless people are typing into search engines right this very second, hoping for some kind of miracle in a bottle. We're constantly bombarded with these heavily marketed natural remedies that promise the absolute world with zero downsides. But as we unpack the Mayo Clinic's research today, you're going to see that this landscape is actually wildly complex. It's filled with some surprising, scientifically backed promise, but also hidden and sometimes dangerously severe risks that those flashy labels conveniently leave out. All right, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, we'll look at the promise of natural remedies. Second, we're comparing prescriptions directly against natural supplements. Third, we'll evaluate the most popular herbs. Fourth, we'll uncover the herbal Viagra trap. And finally, number 5, we'll wrap up with your safest next steps. Let's jump right into section 1, the promise of natural remedies. When we look at supplements and natural remedies, there's this fascinating contrast to play. These treatments aren't new, right? They have a super long cultural history and have been used across various societies for literally centuries. And because of that rich history, there's a certain level of implicit trust built into the whole idea of natural medicine. We tend to think, well, if an herb has been used for hundreds of years, it must be doing something right and it's probably harmless. But the Mayo Clinic data points out a massive caveat here. These natural remedies simply haven't been studied, scrutinized, or tested nearly as much as modern medicine. They rely way more on historical anecdote rather than clinical certainty, and that creates a pretty huge gap between what we hope they do and what we can actually prove they do.
Moving right along to section 2, prescriptions versus natural supplements.
Before we start evaluating specific herbs, we really need to set the medical baseline. When we talk about proven, tested treatments, we're talking about PDE5 inhibitors. These are your FDA-approved prescription medicines. You definitely know the brand names: sildenafil, which is Viagra, vardenafil, tadalafil, known as Cialis, and avenefil, or Stendra. This is what a scientifically proven intervention actually looks like. And it's worth pausing just to think about what it takes for these drugs to even reach the market. We're talking about decades of rigorous clinical trials, massive scientific scrutiny, and extensive ongoing safety monitoring. They aren't just tossed onto a pharmacy shelf. They're rigorously vetted, so we know exactly how they work, how long they last, and exactly what they do to the human body. And this really illustrates the divide perfectly. With prescription medicines, they are extensively studied. Their benefits are clinically proven, and, this is absolutely crucial, their dosages are strictly controlled. When you take a prescription pill, you know the exact milligram count going into your body every single time. But then, look at natural supplements. As the Mayo Clinic warns, a lot of these lack proven benefits entirely, and worse, because they aren't regulated in the same way, the amount of the active ingredient can vary wildly from one product to the next, sometimes even from one batch to another. Plus, they carry a very real risk of side effects, including some totally unpredictable and dangerous interactions with other medications you might already be taking. All right, section 3, evaluating the popular herbs. To make evaluating these popular herbs as clear as possible, we're using a simple traffic light framework: green for promising, yellow for caution, and red for danger. Let's start with the green light supplements. These are the herbs that have actually been studied in people, shown positive results, and are generally considered safe under the right conditions. First up is L-arginine. Research actually shows high doses can improve blood flow by helping blood vessels open wider. But check out the safety column. It can cause stomach pain and diarrhea, and get this, you should never mix it with sildenafil. Next up, Panax ginseng. It does improve function and appears safe for up to 6 months. The catch? Common side effects include insomnia and headaches. And let's be real, fixing one problem just to lie awake all night with a pounding headache isn't exactly a win. Finally, we have propionyl L-carnitine. Interestingly, studies show that when combined with sildenafil, it might actually work better than sildenafil alone, and it's likely safe for up to 6 months. But as you can see, even in the green category, there are strings attached.
Okay, moving to the yellow light, we have DHEA. This one is a classic mixed bag, and honestly, a perfect example of why you need to tread carefully. Early research shows DHEA can help with ED, specifically linked to high blood pressure, or cases that just don't have a clear cause. So there is definite promise there. However, the safety profile is where you really need to pump the brakes. Low doses for a short amount of time, like up to 6 months, can be safe, though it might still cause acne or mood changes. But here is the kicker. Long-term or heavy use of DHEA is potentially linked with some cancers. You really have to weigh that risk. It's not just a simple daily vitamin. It is a powerful supplement that alters your body's chemistry. This is exactly why self-medicating with these over-the-counter products demands professional oversight. Now we hit the red light supplements. And the Mayo Clinic data is completely unambiguous here. These carry incredibly high risks. Take yohimbe, which is derived from the bark of an African tree. Sure, it actually does show evidence of improving function, but look at the safety column. That is where the alarm bells really ring. It's linked to terrifying severe side effects like extreme agitation, high blood pressure, fast heartbeat, heart attacks, and even seizures. The toll it takes on your cardiovascular and nervous system is just intense. Then we've got ginkgo and horny goatweed. Ginkgo might boost blood flow in general, but it lacks specific proof for helping ED, and it actively raises your risk of bleeding. Horny goatweed, it completely lacks clinical evidence for improvement, and worse, it can negatively affect your heart and breathing functions. The risk to reward ratio here is just terrible. It simply isn't worth the gamble.
Which brings us to section 4, the herbal Viagra trap.
This is where the unregulated nature of the supplement market gets genuinely deceptive. The Mayo Clinic explicitly warns us about this. They state, many products that are sold without a prescription claim to be herbal forms of Viagra. Such ingredients can cause dangerous side effects. What they're talking about here are products that masquerade as natural, ancient, holistic cures, but behind the scenes, they're hiding a dark secret to make sure they work. Some of these supposedly all-natural products secretly contain unlisted synthetic ingredients that are virtually identical to the active chemicals found in prescription medicines.
So the crucial point here is this. You might think you're taking a gentle, natural herb, right? But you could actually be swallowing an unmeasured, totally unregulated dose of a potent prescription chemical. Think of it like buying a heavily marketed, supposedly all-natural herbal tea, only to find out later it was secretly laced with pharmaceutical-grade stimulants. It's a massive shock to your system. Now, the FDA has actively banned many of these tainted products because having real medicine hidden inside a casual over-the-counter pill is incredibly dangerous, especially if you're taking other medications. But here's the reality. Because the market is just so vast and fast-moving, it's notoriously difficult to police, which means many of these risky, tainted remedies are still sitting on store shelves and online right now. Let's wrap things up with section 5, your safest next steps. Now that we understand the science, the promise, and the traps, how should you actually proceed? Well, the absolute most important takeaway from the Mayo Clinic's data is that consulting a healthcare professional is non-negotiable. First, as we've seen time and time again today, the word natural absolutely does not mean safe. Second, you really need a medical professional to help you avoid dangerous interactions. Remember how L-arginine cannot be mixed with sildenafil? A doctor makes sure you don't accidentally cross those wires. Third, only a pro can give you accurate dosage recommendations based on your specific body and your medical history. And finally, if you have any long-term health conditions, especially heart disease or diabetes, experimenting with unregulated supplements is a risk you simply cannot afford to take. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Are you ready to talk to your healthcare professional to find a proven, safe solution for you? We've seen today that while some herbs do show early promise, the lack of regulation, the wild variability in dosage, and those hidden, tainted traps make the supplement aisle an absolute minefield. But the good news? You don't have to navigate it alone. And you definitely shouldn't rely on flashy internet marketing for your baseline health. Empower yourself with proven medical guidance, get the facts for your specific body, and make the choice that actually guarantees your safety. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay curious, stay informed, and we'll see you next time.